I even have a little bit of a cold, which is why I wanted this. I can taste everything. Hey everyone, it's Lauren from Hot for Food. We're gonna get right into it today. I'm gonna show you how to make the best vegan ramen. This recipe is actually from my very first cookbook. It's been a while. I figure, you know what, I'm gonna share something from the book. Maybe I can revive some life back into it. There's lots of vegan comfort classics in the cookbook. Of course, that's what it's called. It came out in 2018. This is one of my favorite recipes, and ramen is actually quite a complex thing. It shouldn't just be like throwing a couple things in with some water and calling it a day. You really have to build a lot of flavor. You want an umami, you want a fat, you want lots of interesting toppings, which of course can be customizable. Ramen usually has a meaty component like pork or something like that, but instead of that, we're gonna use some of my tofu bacon crumbles. And then really the 5 components of ramen are noodles. So we're gonna use Sapporo Ichiban, which is my favorite ramen noodle. The instant packs, usually the miso ramen pack, is vegan friendly, including the powder, but we're not gonna use the powder packs, just the noodles to get that classic ramen noodle. There's also the tear, which is where all of your flavor for your soup comes from. So we're gonna make up a tear using the fatty element of tahini actually, which will also make it creamy. And I have a couple other tricks and tips to make this broth really rich. Then you've got your broth, of course, your toppings, and then often you finish it with some kind of aroma oil, so like a chili oil, a sesame oil, or something like that. Again, optional, but if you're gonna go traditional, that's kind of what you wanna do as the final touch. So let's get started. You're gonna start by cutting up some sweet potato, leaving the peel on, cutting 2 onions in half, and then leave your 2 garlic bulbs intact. Put all of this on a large baking sheet. You're gonna bake this for about 40 to 45 minutes at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. You want the potatoes to be soft, charred, and you want some color as well on the garlic so that it's fully roasted, and some charring on the onions like this. You're also going to dice up 2 celery stalks, 3 green onions. You're gonna leave your cremini and your shiitake mushrooms whole, and then you're gonna quarter an entire head of Napa cabbage. So this looks like a lot of veg, but it's all gonna cook down. We're building the base of our ramen broth here, or our stock. That's how I'll refer to it, and you're gonna strain it after. So once you've got this veg prepped, you wanna put a very large stock pot over medium-high heat on the stove. It's a large stock pot because A, you gotta saute all this veg plus the veg that's coming out of the oven, and you need to add about 12 cups of water. So add vegetable oil to the pot over medium-high heat, and then add all of this, the whole mushrooms, the celery and the green onions, the cabbage, then add the roasted onion halves and 1 of the roasted garlic bulbs. Just kind of smash it a bit to release some of the roasted garlic cloves, and then saute this till it's cooked down and wilted. You can see how much this has shrunk down. So now you're gonna add salt, pepper, and then 12 cups of water. So now get this to a boil. Almost forgot the kombu. You have to add this. Kombu is seaweed, great for stocks and broth because it gives so much flavor and umami. See that white powder on the seaweed? That's the good stuff. So throw a large piece in the broth. Bring this to a boil. Once it's boiling, turn it to a low heat, cover it with a lid, simmer it for 1 hour. While that is cooking, we can make the tear. So it's very simple. It is just tahini, soy sauce or tamari, white or red miso paste, and then mirin. And if you don't have mirin, you can use seasoned rice vinegar. And you just mix this all together until it's a nice smooth paste. And this is where the kind of flavor bomb is coming from. You don't heat this or put it into the hot stock pot. You actually put your tear in a warm ramen bowl, and then you pour hot broth over top. That is sort of how it's traditionally done. Heating this or overheating it or cooking it is not necessary, and you'll actually kind of like ruin the flavor if you do that. Now you can make this tear and then save it in the fridge for up to 2 months, but I wouldn't advise freezing it. I'm just gonna switch to a whisk. I ended up heating my tahini because it was a bit rock hard and separated from the oil, so you can just warm it up in the microwave. But you definitely want this to be kind of well combined and not looking separated at all. I knew I forgot something. I forgot to put the ginger in. That goes in when you saute the cabbage and the mushrooms. No big deal, whatever. Now we're gonna get to the next step. So you've got your broth. You take 1 cup of it, you put it in a blender. okay? Along with half a cup of the roasted sweet potato from the baking sheet from the first step. And then you're gonna wanna take the remaining full bulb of garlic and squeeze out all the roasted cloves. It's a little finicky, you can squeeze them, you can peel them, whatever. You'll get quite a bit of roasted garlic. That's gonna go in the blender, nice and sticky, fragrant. You're gonna strain the broth into another pot, and then you can put that back on the burner to keep it warm. Now blend this until it's very smooth. Add this back into the strained broth over the stove. Heat it up again till it's hot. This is gonna kind of thicken up the broth, give it a little more flavor. Now you can cook your noodles in this broth. I like to cook them separate just because I'm often not eating the 4 large servings that this recipe makes all at once. So I like to cook the noodles separate so they don't get soggy and keep the broth separate. Now all of the broth can be frozen and stored or whatever so that you can eat ramen whenever you like. So here's how you put this thing together. Your noodles are only gonna be 3 minutes, so make sure all of your toppings are prepped. You put your tare, 2 tablespoons of it, in the middle of your warmed up ramen bowl. You can warm up your bowl in the microwave. Then add broth on top. Add your noodles, and then arrange your toppings. I add some of the roasted sweet potato, some thawed frozen corn kernels. Gotta have corn on ramen, that's my #1 rule. And my tofu bacon crumbles, some shredded carrot, green onions. That recipe is in Vegan Comfort Classics. Obviously I'm not gonna show you how to make it here, it's too long. And then get some hot chili oil, whatever kind of oil you wanna put on top. All right, you have earned this, the best vegan ramen. You can see there are some steps, but that is what makes a good ramen, the layer by layer of building. And you can see I've mixed it all up. It's so good. You gotta add that chili oil on at the end. I just wanna friggin' eat this thing already. Adding the tare to that broth makes it creamy and rich and so flavorful. Taste the broth on its own. It's already really good. You could use it as a broth for something else. Oh. That's how good it is. Holy sh. Oh yeah, my friends. You're gonna get this recipe. You're gonna love it. You're gonna make it all the time. And then you're gonna be like, if this is this good, then I better get Vegan Comfort Classics so that I can make everything else in Lauren's first cookbook. It is a bestseller. Some call it their vegan Bible. It's got all the basics in it. It's got a whole sauce chapter in the back. Great desserts, mains, party food, like finger foods, brunches and breakfasts. Whole chapter of noodles, whole chapter of stacked sandwiches. My epic Saved by Seitan recipe is in that book. Like the best seitan you'll ever make. Staple seitan to make the Philly cheesesteak sandwich. Even though I forgot the ginger, which I should have added because I have a cold, forgot, still delicious. So I hope you like this one. Let me know, give me your reviews in the comments. If you're new here and you've watched a couple videos, you've seen what's going on, subscribe to Hot for Food. You can follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on TikTok. I am on Facebook, not really using Twitter anymore, on Pinterest. I have hotforfoodblog.com. Click below for this recipe for the best vegan ramen. And I look forward to being with you again in my kitchen very soon. Bye.